Hello, my name is Nadia Gutierrez, and this semester I was in educational psychology, and what I learned is multiple psychoanalytical strategies that I am going to be presenting to all of you. I will be talking about what has impacted me the most with my major in counseling psychology for mental health. First is classical conditioning. Pavlov had a theory where he said an unconditioned stimulus is when you have a natural reaction to something, while there is an unconditioned response like touching something hot and you pull away. A stimulus that is trained to gain a certain response is called a conditioned stimulus. This theory helps due to the fact that certain client behaviors need to be decreased as the consequences of associating the conditioned and unconditioned stimulus together leads to avoidance and phobias. This is important to know for therapy because I can get to the root cause of their irrational triggers. Another learning theory is operant conditioning created by Skinner. He believed in the use of unpleasant and pleasant consequences to create change in a behavior. Reinforcements are what makes a behavior stronger, while punishment weakens a behavior. This theory helps to target certain actions in clients. Operant conditioning can cause the emotional distress of a client's repeated acts due to a traumatic event that causes reinforcement to an unhelpful habit. As a psychologist, I can try to eliminate blameful situations. I and the client can help strengthen their behaviors with helpful consequences. Next focus is on working memory. Working memory is the ability to maintain, manipulate, and discard information. It is the knowledge we hold on to for a limited amount of time while organizing our thoughts. It's important because it is the knowledge we tend to pay attention to and connect to relevant information. Working memory is important because there will be people who might have a learning disorder. Clients can't remember everything that has happened that day, but it can help to organize and practice relevant information. It helps to connect to a certain pattern that can be easily recognizable for future instructions. Moreover, James Marcia's four identity statuses help with preteen clients. First identity is foreclosure, in which they never had a crisis before and they are having strong commitments that reflect their authority figure's belief, as it is a very firm and rigid stage that causes crisis later. Second identity is diffusion, where they don't know which direction to go with no solution. Third identity is moratorium, where they have investigated possible life choices but are still unsure. Last identity is achievement, where they have discovered multiple alternatives and found one that reflects them. Identities are important because it gives the therapist a solid direction to go with the client. With foreclosure and diffusion, I can help the clients try out different experiences. Moratorium is helping them examine their values, which correlates with choices. Achievement tells me the client is secure with their identity. Scaffolding is derived from Vygotsky's social learning. It is a help provided by knowing peers and adults. It helps with early learning and gives a person support. When they learned little by little, you start to decrease the level of assistance so they can start taking responsibility by doing it themselves. I believe that scaffolding does not need to focus on kids but with adults as well. It centers on being able to manage responsibility confidently. With anxious clients, it can provide distance from problems and to bring new solutions when learning a certain skill they achieved by management and my support. Further on social learning, modeling is when someone learns through imitating other behaviors. People do vicarious learning by seeing what sort of consequence follows after. People don't need to be shaped to learn how to do certain processes as long as they can keep their attention to on the model's actions. The therapist starts to be the model during counseling sessions. This means I have to produce admirable behavior so that the client can be motivated to practice rational choices and feel welcomed with the environment. If I were to be anxious and fidget with my hands, the client would suddenly feel nervous while mimicking my behavior. There are 8 certain stages that Erickson believes is common for most people in their lives. He believes that if you did not receive the fulfillment you needed in an age range, you will tend to have an identity crisis that will reach into adulthood. He does believe that you can resolve each stage, though. A lot of what therapy believes in how the pain of the past can be representing you as an adult. How Erickson helps me with counseling is because it shows me possible interference that has not been resolved into adulthood. These crucial crises can be an explanation to how the clients can feel dissatisfied with their childhood. Bronfenbrenner's view of childhood development is called bioecological approach. He believed on how the surrounding environment has a big interconnected influence on a person's life. There are so many changes that impact not only yourself, but every other factor with your space, like family, work, and school, and even the laws. This approach plays on how nurturing of a person's life is more complex than just the family, but the entirety of each surrounding factor. It gives a therapist a clear view on how many challenges each person has to face on a daily basis that makes someone start behaving a certain way. I know class is for educational purposes, but I have still learned valuable psychology that can be applied to counseling. These theories may say how to use it as a teaching tool, but when looking closely, you can see the relevant information as transferring knowledge to one context and another is valuable. As a therapist, I will use my knowledge so I can create informative skills and grant the ability to have a healing collaboration, creating clients' exploration, validating their crisis, and understanding their interpretations of each patient's environment. Psychology is the basis of my career's actions and comprehension.